Good morning and welcome back to another video. Well, today is going to be a very memorable day. Today we'll be flying with Asiana in business class on the second deck of their last remaining 747-400s. And with the 747s retiring, this could quite possibly be the last time I fly on this aircraft and the only time I get to fly on the second deck. Currently, Asiana is using the 747 for their Seoul, Incheon, Tokyo, Narita route. So today we'll be heading back to Tokyo, and the flight is set to depart at 9 o'clock in the morning. So come along, let's enjoy Asiana's business class and the 747, the Queen of the Skies, as you go from A to B. Looks like we have a fantastic start to a very awesome day. I got to the airport bright and early to soak in every moment of the special day. It must have been 27 years since I was last on a 747, on a flight from Toronto to Frankfurt, back when I was a young sapling. Now much older, wiser, but still kawaii, we're on a much shorter hop to Tokyo Narita. I was quite surprised to learn that Asiana was employing their last 747 for this rather short trip during this time, which was the motivation for this quick getaway to Korea during Japan's Golden Week, and thus my holidays. Perfect timing. Terminal 1 was fairly busy in the morning, but it appeared to accommodate all travelers comfortably without it feeling too cluttered or cramped. Streetside the terminal is in the classic semicircle design, not too dissimilar from other airports such as Toronto. Letters indicate which check-in area to attend based on the airline. Asiana is located at the end in the A area, and here is the dedicated check-in for business class. Although there is a dedicated check-in, there is no dedicated security line. Any time saved by the check-in was dissolved by this line, which was rather long as there is an ID check before the actual security line. At 6:30 in the morning, there was only 2 of 4 security lines open, which slowed things down a bit. So it's a wise choice to get through security as quickly as possible, should you be flying out of Incheon. Alright, so it took about 35-40 minutes to get through that. The primary line that you saw was fairly lengthy, and that's again they do that passport ID check to make sure name matches the name on the ticket. And I made that mistake in the last video because it didn't have my middle name in it. But even for an international flight, there were people getting turned around after that whole line because their name didn't match. Wow, I would not be happy if that happened to me. But once that was done, the security and the passport check was really quick. Anyway, so we're at gate 7 today, and they told me I can go to the lounge by gate 11, so let's go ahead and do that. And it's about 6:50 now. It's about 6:50 right now. I've yet to have a coffee, so let's go ahead and do that. The lounge is located on the next floor up. It wasn't terribly busy when I arrived. The lounge has a fairly open concept, with food and drink bars placed at the opposite ends. There's a nice selection of seating to choose from, and I particularly enjoy the views of the apron the lounge provided. Before we get too settled in and have breakfast, a shower is in order, and unlike our visit to the ANA lounge, there was no wait, so I jumped right in. Shower in the morning, perfect way to freshen up, so let's go back and grab some breakfast. I found the breakfast spread so-so. Nothing particularly outstanding. You can expect to find salad, sandwiches, cereals, breads for the cold menu. Again, nothing to write home about. And a few warm items such as scrambled eggs and fried rice. I thought the winner in the buffet was the fried dumplings. Like most lounges, there's a healthy selection of beverages, but I thought this beer dispensing system was pretty neat. It was a bit early, but I guess it was 5 o'clock somewhere, and I really just wanted to try out this machine. Right, well that was a nice lounge. Actually it's fairly quiet, not too busy on the early morning. And I like those booths by the window. You can overlook the apron, and it's kind of nice little kind of cozy corner with power outlet and everything you need there. And the breakfast selection was not too bad too. Got a coffee in, so I'm all good to go. I'm just headed over to the gate right now. It's about 8:15, and we're just at gate number 7, which is right at the end. So let's go ahead and hopefully we can catch a glimpse of our plane. Gate 7, and 6 for that matter, are right at the end of the terminal, so you have the added benefit of the many large windows. Looks promising for a good view of our aircraft, doesn't it? And there it is. Wow, Asiana's last remaining 747. Here we go, up to the second floor.
Hello? Excuse me. Thank you. Please go upstairs. Sorry, sir. Welcome aboard. Here.
Thank you. Today we're in seat 11K for our flight to Japan. Looks like it'll do. We'll check out the seat and cabin in more detail once we're up in the air. Meanwhile, slippers and headphones are provided, and an oshibori, wet towel, was handed out before departing. This 747-400 has 398 seats across 3 classes: Royal Business, Business, and Economy. Royal Business is situated at the front of the first deck, and Business Class is located entirely on the second. There are 14 lavatories on board, 2 upstairs and 12 on the first deck. Being over 25 years old, this aircraft is one of the older ones we flew on, being delivered to Asiana in June of '99 and flew with them ever since. At its height, Asiana had 10 747s configured for passenger use. 6 were converted to freighters for Asiana Cargo, and 3 were retired in 2020, leaving ours as the one and only. As we line up and get this flight underway, enjoy the wonderful takeoff as we depart Seoul Incheon. Our quick 1 hour 45-minute flight will be a direct flight across Korea, over the sea, which I won't name, and over the Japanese Alps towards Narita. The second deck is laid out in a 2-2 seating configuration with a very neutral color scheme. With only 24 seats, there is plenty of room in the cabin, with the emergency rows providing the most generous space. It almost felt like a private jet with only 4 or 5 passengers flying business today, and you can easily forget that there are a couple hundred passengers under your feet. A single monitor displays flight information throughout the trip. Window seats on the second deck have the added storage space thanks to the bin between the window and the seat. This is particularly helpful as nothing can be stored on the floor during taxi takeoff and landing. The seats are big, heavy, and bulky, but retain their comfort factor. It's interesting to see how far seats, cabin interior, and many other aspects of aviation travel have come along in the last 25 years. The headrest is adjustable to some degree. I'm kinda laughing because, as you can maybe see, I can feel it clunkily notching into place, which I wasn't expecting. There's also a reading light off to the left. The side of the seat near the center console has a seat recline function, remote, headphone jack, and USB port tucked in the back. The opposite side has a button to lower the armrest for when the seat is reclined. The center console contains a little table, and this nifty cup holder which swings out, a feature I really don't see anymore. On the front face, you'll find the power outlet and another little cocktail tray which pops out. There's a small privacy divider, perhaps more beneficial if the cabin is slightly fuller than today. The seat provides some recline, and this is as far as it's going to get. Seat back is fairly straightforward, housing the coat hook, screen, literature pocket, and not much else. Seat pitch in business class is 60 inches. Should you want more, the emergency exit row will be your best friend. The pocket simply contains a safety card and duty-free catalog. Above is the retro reading light and air control, and as you can see there are 3, so this cabin can be configured for a much tighter 3-3 seating layout if desired by the airline. Overall, I love the seat and cabin for the trip back in time. Everything from the bulky seat and hearing and feeling the old motors as the seat slowly reclined added to the experience. There is no Wi-Fi on board. However, should you wish to contact the ground, you may do so at $12.50 American per minute. Remember when those phones and in-flight calling were all the rage? I guess the fad for these phones kind of fizzled out over the years, haven't they? And of course, I invite new viewers to subscribe for continued aviation and travel related content, and it won't cost you $12.50. After takeoff, the menu was handed out. The menu on this short flight isn't too extensive, but perfectly suitable for a flight of this length. There were 2 options for lunch, the Western dish, chicken leg with miso sauce, or Korean sampapu. We begin with a Beefeater gin tonic, so cheers to flying on this wonderful aircraft on the second deck. I went with the sampapu, one of Asiana's signature dishes, and looks pretty good, doesn't it? The dish consists of green leaves, puree kogi beef, rice, bean paste, and a light soup and fruit for dessert. All there is to do is grab a leaf, add some rice, beef, and paste, and enjoy. I really enjoyed this dish. The soft savory meat with the rice, a little spicy bite from the bean paste, and the fresh leaf all worked well together without any component overpowering the other. Needless to say, I had no issues finishing off the dish. After the meal, coffee and tea were offered, and I figured a coffee Bailey's was a wonderful way to end this fabulous meal. Here's a look at the rear lavatory on the second deck. You really don't see the stainless steel sinks on planes anymore, do you? There were some dental amenities and moisturizers available, and that about sums up the loot. The staff on board were really pleasant and friendly, and were only too happy to show me around the galley at the rear of the second deck. And here by the stairs is one of the fridges keeping the beer cold. Very important job. If you know what this dispenser is for and when it was used, please leave a comment, as I've never seen one before and wasn't working today. Back in our seat, we can check out the entertainment system. Though dated, I thought it was more responsive than Air Canada's old IFE, which we experienced on their A320 and CRJ. With the 60-inch seat pitch, you may find the remote more beneficial in this case. Another thing we don't see anymore is seat-to-seat calling. And with no one beside me, I thought I'd see if the system is still in operation. Does it still work? Haha, yup. And, well, all good things must come to an end. This was certainly a memorable experience. From appreciating an iconic aircraft to enjoying the hospitality Asiana provided. The amazing views, great food, and drinks all added to the experience. I think anyone who has an interest in aviation has dreamt about flying on the second deck of the 747, and today is literally a dream come true. This is the first time I've paid for a business class seat without the use of points or other aids. The price of this ticket came out to 480,000 Korean won, or about 480 Canadian dollars. Not bad for a business class seat. Wow, what an absolutely memorable experience that was. I was so happy I had the opportunity to enjoy the second floor of a 747, but everything from the check-in to the lounge, the shower, and the breakfast, the crew did an outstanding job. They're the ones that offered, oh, do you want to go see the galley? And they showed me the fridge, and oh, here's this and here's that. Very friendly crew. The meal was fantastic. It was delicious. So I was pretty full from the meal actually, but it was wonderful. We had nice weather along the way, got some nice views, and to think that seat was 480,000 Korean won, which comes out to like 480 Canadian dollars. That's probably like 300 American. Absolutely great value. And I'm so happy I had the experience to fly on the 747 once again and on the second floor. Let me know what you thought about Asiana's 747 business class, and maybe leave a comment. Let us know if you ever flown on the 747 before and with which airline. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode.